All right, we're back to mix it up with some of the day's other headlines. A bankrupt nation looking for some ways to save. Yes, that would be ours. And an effort to block some kids born from the U.S. from being, or born in the U.S. from being American citizens. We start, though, with the federal government spending and the struggle to control it. Today, President Obama proposing legislation that will allow him to cut the fat from spending laws passed by Congress. Sounds good, right? Under the plan, he'd send a package of proposed cuts back to Congress for a vote. Lawmakers will be required to consider the package as a whole. The plan is viewed as an alternative to the line item veto, which the Supreme Court ruled is unconstitutional in 1998. Why is the president doing this? Well, because we're spending money we don't have by the trillion, largely to bail out financial institutions, although some of it is also spent on entitlements, war, and research. The federal budget deficit expected to eclipse $1.5 trillion this year. The states not doing any better. Right now, 32 of the 50 borrowing from the Federal Reserve in order to make the unemployment payments that they are promising to those in their state. And they have borrowed nearly $38 billion, with California, the biggest, racking up a hefty $7 billion tab all by itself. Michigan and New York not far behind. Meantime, a third of our school administrators say they may cut summer school programs next year. That rate nearly doubling each year since 2008. Now, here to mix it up is our panel, the host of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, and associate editor for the Washington Examiner, J.P. Freire. Pleasure to see you both. Cenk, I'll start with you. You wrote a piece today in the Huffington Post saying you're basically going to go back to get the Goldman Sachs money back. I felt like it was an appropriate day for that conversation for this very reason. Are we ahead of ourselves talking cutbacks when the American people have not been given the appropriate clawbacks?
I think that's exactly right. I have mixed feelings about the Obama package because, on the one hand, I would love to cut some of those earmarks. On the other hand, it gives the president a lot of power to pick who he likes and doesn't like and what politicians he's going to do favors for or not do favors for. And if you don't like the idea of Obama doing that, wait till you get a load of a president like Bush or his advisor Karl Rove picking favorites among the earmarks. Now, what I think we should really do is go get our $13 billion back from Goldman Sachs. They got paid through AIG as a counterparty on a side bet. I don't know why in the world we paid him on that. I'd like to ask Tim Geithner, and we're going to do that. On June 7th, we're going to go down to the Treasury Department and do a protest and ask Tim Geithner, why don't you get our money back from Goldman Sachs? They said they didn't even need it. Great, fantastic, then give it back.
JP, clawbacks before cutbacks, and what do you think about the president's plan?
I think the president is unserious when it comes to cutting spending, and the other panelists and I completely agree. This is absolutely absurd that this much taxpayer dollars is going towards private institutions that got themselves into this mess, and that when it comes down to it, the president and Congress have not been serious about cutting spending. They've been doing things like anytime that they go up against PAYGO, they run right past it. In fact, this Congress alone has done $200 billion of spending, despite what PAYGO has said. So it's clear that when they set up these rules so that they can take care of spending, they're just doing this as sort of as lip service to the whole idea.
Yeah, I think all three of us are in wholehearted agreement. We'll move on. The author, and if you want to do something about it, join Cenk at the Treasury on June 7th to make your point. To Arizona we go. The immigration law, obviously, you're familiar with the issue. Well, the law apparently wants to go one step further. State Senator Russell Pierce now saying that he wants to pass a measure that would refuse to accept or issue a birth certificate to a child born to illegal immigrants. Pierce blasting what he called the, quote, anchor baby racket. Meantime, Arizona Governor Jan Brewer using a Kermit the Frog look-alike to criticize the Obama administration and officials who actually hadn't read the current immigration law. Here's a sample.
Reading helps you know what you're talking about. Let's see what these folks have to say about reading.
Have you read the Arizona law?
I have not had a chance.
I feel like I would have liked to have made that particular commercial. This new tourism ad from Mexico sparking more debate today. The ad says, in Sonora, we are looking for people from Arizona, prompting calls for a travel boycott, from controversial Arizona Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Cenk, where is this going, and are we just sort of churning ourselves into a froth in Arizona as a way to avoid dealing with this the way we should, like grown-ups on a national level?
Yeah, I'll tell you where this is going. This is going for an enormous favor to Barack Obama. The reason I say that is because the Republican Party are his best friends in being the worst possible enemies. They're just handing him the entire Latino vote, making it so much easier for him to win in 2012. I mean, that talk about anchor babies is ridiculous. When they came over from on the Mayflower, they were all anchor babies. Should we kick everybody out? No, it's absurd. And the idea of, oh, they didn't read the law. It's what the Republicans always do. They claim, oh, you didn't read 1,000 or 2,000 page health care bill. They never tell you what's actually in the law, because what's in the law is indefensible.
JP, thoughts?
I mean, it's interesting that you bring up how the anchor baby racket is a bad thing. Look, I mean, the whole idea of having immigration laws is to be able to look at who you want to come in and who you don't want to come in and how they're going to go about it so that it's even for everybody to be able to enter the country. You want to make sure that everybody has as equal an opportunity to enter the country. And so it doesn't matter whether you're a Mexican. It also matters, you know, if you're Polish or you're coming from somewhere else. And making it so that people can come into this country on an equal basis is the most important thing. Now, the Arizona law, you know, say what you will about it, it has actually been effective in this one thing. People are now talking about immigration, and people are stepping up the idea of border enforcement more than ever before, and that's been a big problem. And, you know, if the federal government had been doing its job and had actually been dealing with the immigration issue long before Arizona ever took up this legislation, we wouldn't be talking about what state legislators in Arizona are doing.
I agree with you. Listen, a pleasure to get the conversation, gentlemen. Cenk, we want to do a quick deal here real quick? Want to see a JP?
Yeah,
you want to see how big-time media deals are done? No agents or nothing. Cenk, can I host? Can I fill in on your show Thursday night?
Absolutely. Thursday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on theyoungturks.com and on an X7 series. Dylan Ratigan hosting the Young Turks. It's going to be fantastic.
I'm going to charge you a total fee of $0 for that, okay?
Oh, I like that even better.
Big time media right there, JP. That could be you in the future. No, in all seriousness, Cenk has been gracious enough to offer me the opportunity to host the Young Turks Thursday night. I'm thrilled for it, Cenk. We'll see you sooner rather than later, and I'll see all of you Thursday evening live streaming on the web.